preparing for the 19th Sunday in Ordinary Time, we're here in the Rectory Chapel, and this is the space in the building where if you look at it from State Road, the part that's a triangle, right behind that wall is what is still the chapel in that building. And so this is the space I come to on a daily basis to try to listen to that still small whispering voice of God speaking to me. Our first reading is from the first book of Kings, and we hear that story of Elijah, not hearing God in the earthquake or the fire or the wind, but again, in that tiny whispering sound. And, in our own lives, yes, the outside world can be a distraction and draw us out of finding the Lord deep in our hearts and in the quiet there. But the fact is, even some days I come here and I hear kind of the violence of just the frantic thoughts or worries of the day, and they can distract me from the tiny whispering sound of the Lord speaking to me. And so, it happens on an exterior level and an interior level that, God doesn't always show up in the most extraordinary things. Certainly in the book of Exodus, we hear that he worked mighty signs and wonders in delivering the Israelites from Egypt. But, here's the thing. God's going to show up in healings. He's going to show up in magnificent and extraordinary events sometimes. He's always going to be there in the quiet of our hearts, in the silence therein. And we may struggle to get back to a place of hearing him, but he's always going to be in those things. So, beyond that, we look at particularly the gospel reading, and it's its own fascinating account of the walking on water. And again, in some way, there's that experience of need to find the Lord in the quiet, in the trust, even in the midst of the storm. So, Peter asks Jesus, to call him out from the boat. And yet, what is it? It's the exterior noise that distracts him from the one main thing. And, I guess if there's one thing I want you to take away, it's that experience. I want you to be better in touch with the experience of being drawn out of your own heart. What draws you out of your own heart? Yes, the noise of the world. Yes, the distractions and events and traumas and divisions and, all of those things. But also you think about when your mind thinks about, just, again, the cares of the day, the worries, the struggles. Your mind pulls you out of your heart. God dwells in here, right in here, in the tiny whispering sound. And, part of presence with God is simply calling our mind and our attention back here. And even for Peter, all right, so here's the funny thing. I talk about how quiet this chapel is, and I can't hear anything outside of it. And right outside the door, just now, I heard, a conversation and a cackle of laughter that pulled me out of my own heart and distracted me from continuing on with the video. And I'm not even sure that it would have been picked up with a microphone, but here I am. I told you I struggle to hear the voice sometime, and it's there. Here I was, Peter, walking on water, and pulled out of my own heart, the whole thing collapsed. So that's real life, that's real life. And just as Peter, struggled to hold, his own presence in his heart with the Lord dwelling there, yes, we struggle to as well. But the more we call ourselves back, to God within our hearts from whatever distracts us from outside or whatever distracts us from outside, the better we're going to be at living in that place, with the Lord amidst whatever happens in the world. So I'm going to keep practicing, and I just invite you to do the same and find your peace in the Lord.